Hello and welcome to our reading and reflection on Sunday the 7th of March 2021. I hope this finds you well. I hope spring is going to start springing a bit more. Maybe you've had your vaccine. I've had my first jab, my first dose. So hopefully things are heading in the right direction. And I'm hoping as well that in 3 weeks' time we can open the church. That will be Palm Sunday, Sunday the 28th of March. So 3 more weeks, and then Palm Sunday, of course, is the Sunday before Easter Day, the following Sunday. So that's my aim, that's my plan. We will see. I don't think it's going to be any sooner than that, but I really hope it's not going to be any later than that. That's what we're aiming for. And things are, as I say, heading in the right direction. Now we're going to have a quick look at a bit of the Bible to help us think, to help us act, to challenge us and comfort us, and hopefully to change us as well. And the reading from the Bible is from Romans. It's a letter from St. Paul to the church, the early Christians in the Italian capital, in the city of Rome. And of course, people who live in Rome, who come from Rome, are called, Romans. So hence it's Paul's letter to the Romans. Have a listen to this. It's just 5 verses. What did our ancestor Abraham discover about being made right with God? If his good deeds had made him acceptable to God, well, then Abraham would have had something to boast about, something to be proud of. But that was not God's way of doing things. The scriptures tell us Abraham simply believed in God. And because of his faith, God considered Abraham righteous. When people work, their wages are not some gift. No, they've been earned and they are owed to the person who's done the work. But people are not made right with God because of their work, but because of their faith in God, God who forgives sinners. What does Paul mean? What's he going on about? Why does it matter to you and me? Why would this be of any interest? Well, if I was to ask you what matters more, what you believe or what you do? What matters more, what you believe or what you do? You'd probably say, well, what you believe is your own business, private, secret, invisible. But what you do has consequences. It matters. And anyway, you might say, what you do is based on what you believe. So are they quite as independent of each other as you might think? But of course, if what you do is more important because it has consequences and outworkings, it affects other people far more. If that's based on what you believe, then what you believe is arguably more important. 500 years ago in Europe, there was a big debate, more than a debate. There was a divide in Christianity. Protestants on one side and Catholics on the other side. Protestants said, what matters is what you believe. All you need is faith. All you need is faith. If you believe in Jesus, you will be saved. You will be made right with God. You will go to heaven. You will be acceptable to God. The Protestants said, Jesus has done it all for us. Jesus was perfect, good and righteous, and completely perfect. And he offers to share his perfection with us sinners. All we have to do is believe in him, is receive and accept that gift of his perfection. In fact, the Protestants said, you cannot earn salvation. You cannot ever get to the point where it's something that God owes you, where you deserve to go to heaven because you've worked hard, you've done good deeds, you've given money to the poor, you've been kind to people, and so on. You cannot earn heaven. There's no reward involved from God. There's no repayment involved from God. It's a free gift. It's a free gift. That was the Protestants' position. Now, the Catholics took a slightly different position. They said, wait a minute, you're saying that works, good deeds, actions don't matter. All that matters is faith. But even believing in Jesus, that is a kind of action. That's a choice. That's a decision. So, steady on. And secondly, they would say, but wait a minute as well. If we follow your logic to its conclusion, Protestants, then what we do doesn't matter because we've believed in Jesus. We've got the golden ticket. Jesus is going to unlock the gate of heaven. We are saved because we have our faith in Jesus and in his perfection, in his righteousness. So how we live our lives makes no difference. So we could live terrible lives or completely passive lives. We could be lazy and useless. But at any rate, what we do or don't do makes no difference. These days, well, for a start, I hope you can see how both sides are making an interesting point and have valid points. And there were great thinkers, great theologians on either side of the debate. And these days, it's less of a divisive question. Protestants have by and large accepted that faith, your belief in God, your religion, your personal, private acceptance of Jesus, well, that should turn into actions. That should have outworkings, should have consequences. What you believe should shape what you go on to do. And the Catholics have generally moved away from a position where good deeds appeases God, assuages his anger, wins his favour. So they've kind of met in the middle. Now, where does that leave us? Well, first of all, we can take faith as a given. Christians, by definition, have faith. That's just a given. Being a Christian means that you believe in the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And that has a consequence for us. There's a reason we believe in that. There's a reason that Jesus came and lived and died and rose. And that is to make us right with God, to take away our sin, to give us pardon and peace. There's a metaphor you could use that Jesus, as it were, pays for our ticket. Jesus pays for our ticket, our access to God, our home in heaven. Jesus' death and resurrection cover our sin, cancel our debt, and we can add nothing to it. We bring nothing to the table. He does it all for us. There's an old saying, the only thing I contributed to my salvation was my sin. So we are saved by what Jesus has done for us, not by anything that we do for Jesus. Faith is a given. It's what Christians have, all religious people have. So what about deeds, actions, works? What can we say about them? Does doing the right thing matter? Well, I think we probably all agree that doing the right thing does matter. How and why? How and why does it matter? Our actions can make a difference to our relationship with God. Jesus speaks of his followers, Christians, as students or learners. The Greek word is disciple. You've probably heard that in church. It's a famous word in the Bible. The 12 disciples literally means the 12 students, the 12 learners. Another metaphor is of us as God's employees or God's servants. Now, a student or an employee might be hardworking, cheerful, diligent, honest, an asset to the company. Or she might be lazy, dishonest, incompetent. The difference is not the status. They're both employees, they're both students, they're both part of the firm, they're both part of the team. The difference is the quality and the quantity of their work. And the relationship then with the master, with the boss, with the foreman, with the teacher. We don't earn our place in God's household, in God's family, in God's team, but we can affect how our relationship with him and with other people goes forward based on what we say and do. Our actions can affect our place within that unit which is a given through the gift of Jesus Christ. And as I mentioned, our actions don't just affect our relationship with God, they affect very much our relationship with other people. Jesus tells a story of a rich man, a wealthy man, who owed the king £100,000, £1 million, a lot of money. And he goes to the king. The king calls him in. Where's my money? And the man falls on his knees. I haven't got it. Just give me more time. Cash flow. You know how it is. I will pay you, but I need more time. No, says the king, no. I've heard enough excuses. You've had enough time. You're going to be sold into slavery along with all your family and household. And all your assets, lands and wealth will be liquidated. And I will get my money back that you owe me. Well, the man falls on his knees. He begs and he pleads. No, no, no. Please have mercy on me. Give me more time. And the king looks at him and actually takes the IOU and tears it up. It doesn't give him more time. Evaporates the debt. Cancels it. So the man left the king's presence free of this obligation. It had been dealt with. But as soon as he left the king's presence, he came across one of his tenants. And he said, hey, you're in arrears with your rent. You owe me £1,000. And a very similar scene played out. The man said, I know, I do. It's fair, but I need more time. You've got to help me. Now, the man could have learned a lesson from the king, but he doesn't. No, he says, no more excuses, no more time. You are going to be sold as a slave. I'm going to take all your goods. The bailiffs are coming in. I'm going to have my money. Shows no mercy, only justice. This is a man to whom mercy was shown. Now, what do you think happened when the king found out about this? Well, I'll leave you to work that one out. So, being made right with God, being made justified, as you might justify the margins on a document, that's God's gift. That's God's free gift through Jesus Christ. It's a free gift, but it's an expensive gift. If somebody bought you a Rolls Royce or a country house, it's going to cost them a lot of money. It might be free to you. It's expensive to the giver of the gift. And forgiveness is always a free gift that costs the one who gives it a great deal, but is free to the one who receives it. So that's the first thing. We're accepted free. Whatever we do subsequently doesn't repay that, doesn't contribute to it anyway. It's in response rather than in repayment. Our good deeds should be in response rather than in repayment. We've been accepted by Jesus and we have accepted Jesus. So having believed in him, we now want to behave like him. Having accepted him, we should obey him. Having been saved by him, we should imitate him, follow in all his ways. To take another metaphor, it's as if we've been made members of the family, God's family, by faith. And then this family has a firm. It's a family company. Or maybe a farm. So here we are. We're part of the family. Very nice. But we now have to pull our weight. We now have to play our part. Are you going to be a lazy son or daughter of God? Or are you going to participate in the family firm, in the running of the farm? Let's finish. We started off by looking at something Paul said about his ancestor Abraham, and we'll end with something that James in the New Testament says about the same man. We'll come to it at the end of the passage. So this is our closing thought. What good is it, my dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith, but you don't show it by your actions? That faith is all theory and no practice. Can it save you? Suppose you were to see someone who has no food or clothes, and you just said to them, farewell, I hope everything turns out for you. Keep well, eat well, go well. These are fine words, but you haven't actually helped that person practically. Faith by itself is not enough. Unless it produces good works, it's dead and useless. Now, some people may argue, well, it's up to certain people to have all the faith, and it's up to other people to do all the good deeds. To which I would reply, how can you show me your faith if you don't put it into practice? But I can demonstrate my faith by my good deeds. Remember our ancestor Abraham. He was made right with God by his actions, when in obedience he offered his son Isaac. His faith and his actions worked together. His actions made his faith complete. The scriptures say Abraham believed in God and God counted him as righteous because he believed. In fact, Abraham was even called a friend of God. So we too are shown to be right with God by what we do, not just by faith alone. The body is dead without breath, and faith is dead without good works. Amen.